New York City's rents could be reaching their peak prices, but residential leases are low. Joining us right now with more on the real estate landscape is Bill Rudin. He is the CEO and co-chairman of Rudin Management Company. He also oversees a real estate portfolio of over 15 million square feet across commercial and residential properties. And Bill, it's always great to talk to you.
Good morning.
All right, it is September in New York. It is back to business. The traffic has been horrific. You see people everywhere, and yet my daughter was in a building just Wednesday here on 42nd Street, and every office was dark as she walked through the building, as people are still not back in offices in some buildings. I know in the A buildings, things are strong. Rents are strong. What's happening in the B and C classes?
Well, interesting, Placer AI came out with a report just the other day. The Real Estate Board came out that actually in the Midtown South and the Class B and C buildings, occupancy is going up. We're seeing it in our A buildings. Some of our buildings are back to 90%, average around 70%. And so that's a very positive side. You walk around the streets. I went from a lunch meeting back to my office, walked 10 blocks. And the streets were packed. There's an energy back in the city. We just came through the U.S. Open, Fashion Week. We were just talking before. I was down at the Perlman Performing Arts Center opening last night, and it was an incredible experience, very positive for the city. So we're finding people are coming back, and it's a positive sign for the city. The traffic, more people in the subways, more people on commuter lines. So we're getting back to, not quite pre-pandemic, but getting close to it.
Yeah, we had the MTA head on not too long ago, and he was talking about how subway traffic is really up, but nowhere near what we had in 2019 before the pandemic. And Jeff Green was on Squawk Box with us just a couple of weeks ago. He was talking broadly around the nation. I know that New York City is in a slightly better position than other cities like a Seattle or a San Francisco or some other places, maybe Chicago. He said, though, he thinks we're only in the first inning when it comes to this correction on commercial real estate. And he's not talking about the A buildings, but he said the B and C properties, he thinks the worst is yet to come.
There's no question that we're facing significant headwinds. There'll be some significant, defaults or, buildings being taken back by the lenders. But that creates opportunities. You're seeing people create funds. New investors are coming into the city. People who heretofore couldn't afford to own a property in New York are looking at opportunities. We just sold a building in Lower Manhattan, 55 Broad Street. We're retaining an equity position. We're converting it with Larry Silverstein and Nathan Berman to almost a 600-unit apartment building. It was the original headquarters for Goldman Sachs back in the 60s. And so we need more of that. We need more supply to come on to the marketplace. We need the governor and the mayor have been very vocal about the ability to convert other buildings in New York City in Midtown. We need the state legislature to work with the mayor and the governor to pass reforms in terms of tax abatements for a creation of more apartments.
And so you need money to make this happen. It's not something that will happen on its own, just as real estate prices come down.
The problem is the cost of construction, the cost of land. It's a very high, entry point. So in order to create affordable housing, you need subsidies from the government to help create those incentives for people to want to invest.
Are the new apartments, then Goldman Sachs' former headquarters, going to be
they're going to be their market rate because they was done under the original downtown plan. We need to have a similar plan with an affordability component, if possible. But there has to be the appropriate balance in terms of we have to work with labor, work with the government to get the incentives to create this housing, or we're going to have a problem in this city in terms of affordability. The market right now is very strong. We just signed 50 leases in August, although the report said less leases were signed in the city. But the prices are very strong. But that's not sustainable for the long term. We need to be able to have people at all levels, affordable, workforce, market rate, to come back into the city and find appropriate housing.
The commercial real estate market, I like what you said, that there is private money on the sidelines, money that's willing to come in. Is that the type of thing that just means, people who are long in some of these other buildings are going to take a beating on this, and it's okay, we'll get through all of this? Other funders will come in and say this is an opportunistic time to start investing?
If the right programs are put in place, yes. I think there's, there's always two sides of the trade, right? The people who are losing their properties, but there's opportunity, and because the prices will start to come down, and that will help incentivize people to look at opportunities for investing in the city.
Let me throw a monkey wrench into the story, which is I think there's a lot of folks, both in New York broadly, but specifically in the real estate business, that are uniquely concerned, or particularly concerned about the immigration crisis that the city is experiencing. Where do you think that genuinely stands? Have you seen any movement? Do you think there's any activity there? There's been obviously a back and forth fight between the governor and now the president of the United States about, what should happen and who's responsible and who's doing it right and who's doing it wrong. The mayor has his own plan. Where are we?
Well, there's definitely a significant problem, not just in New York City, but across the country. How do you control the border? That's a big national issue. But they're coming in, and they want to work. These people are seeking, economic and religious freedom. This is what our city's about creating opportunities for people. We need to be able to work with the president and the leadership in Washington. The mayor and the governor have been very, very vocal. We need to allow the qualified people to get temporary work visas. They're working anyway. They're in the underground economy. Why not let them get jobs? We're at a 3 or 4% unemployment rate. They're not taking anybody's jobs. They're going to fill, there are thousands and thousands of job openings all across the state. There was an article in the Times the other day about farmers and other industries looking for qualified workers. Let's give them a chance to be productive, to pay their taxes. And I think that's part of the solution, but we need government at all levels to work together to solve this problem. It's a huge issue, and it's just not New York City. It's all across the country.